Share button. I wondered where that was. Hey. Uh-oh, where'd my meeting go? Mhm. Mhm.
Morning. I'm well, how are you? This is. Yes. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Do I need to email you my presentation or can I just hook up my own computer?
Do you know how to hook up your own computer?
I think I do. I'll try.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think I can get any. I wouldn't have access, I don't think, to getting email here,
Oh, okay.
because this isn't my computer.
Got it. So, but it has to be Zoom, right? So
Yeah.
both things have to be connected.
Okay. So we can,
So,
just like, I know, I'm like,
I have a USB drive that I can,
I think it will work.
hold on, let me see. That. Okay, so rarely use these anymore, but
Oh, I know.
I have one in my bag just in case.
And then we should be able to go in and get your presentation to come up. Fine. So I'm not the most computer savvy. I know how to get the
Really is,
system out.
honestly, you know what I mean? And every system's different and
Yeah, we were talking about this.
oh, that's not my password. What?
Yeah,
It's not right.
we were talking about this Wednesday night when the person's presentation was probably sitting in an email somewhere. And we had a crowd of like 50 people. You know, and it's amazing that in the group, I said it took a village, but there were people within the group giving all these suggestions of how for this person to get their stuff. And I was amazed at how we did it.
Excuse me, are you going to be handing out anything?
No.
Oh,
Oh, I mean, you
so
mean
we
like,
have to take notes on, you're talking about Passover, aren't you? Yeah,
yeah,
okay, you're giving out recipes at all?
no,
Then I don't need to take notes.
no, I'm not sure. Yeah, I
You
mean, we
can
didn't.
come for go later.
That's right. I'm talking more sort of about traditions and how to kind of innovate your Passover Seder. I feel like there's enough recipes on the internet and I'm happy to direct people if they need that. Okay. Here we go. Right. Now. Should be fine.
And I figure I learn all these new computer tricks when we go and do the, we can't use thumb drives at work.
Oh, okay.
Because it's so funny, because I know so much for the thumb drive.
I mean, I very rarely use one
Yeah.
when you need it. Okay, now is there,
I think it's on this
I
side.
see one here, but
Okay,
maybe there's more than one, so.
I might let you do
May
it.
I
Yes, I'm gonna get out of
trace this
your
with you?
way. From you guys.
Actually, they have a clicker, which I'd like to use, but maybe. Okay. There's a problem with this drive. Great. Um.
You just do
sure.
continue with us.
Oh, I should have just done continue, but we have time.
We do,
Okay.
yeah, that's right.
Um.
Did you make your hat?
No, my sister-in-law gave it to me as a gift. I love it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know who actually made it, but it was like a local person. But all right.
It's such nice colors.
Yeah, aren't they?
Yeah, she knows me well. It's always fall in my life, you know? It's
Well, see, it's kind of like fall, it's raining. So.
yeah, perfect. All right, it looks like something's happening.
Tasting Passover.
Yeah. And then we do need to share the screen. So maybe before, can you minimize that again and then we can put it on this escape?
Yes. Okay. And then, yeah, we can figure this out.
Yeah, there should be a share on the bottom and then it should share.
That would be in the Zoom, right?
Right.
On there.
And then we just have to watch
Share screen.
because we will have people.
Share screen. This one, yeah, okay.
And it should, think once we
Oh, resume selection. Let me do that.
we'll let you use the arrows instead. Using, there should be arrows on the keyboard. Because we have to do it from,
No, that just added a slide.
oh,
I don't want that. All right. Well, this is why we get here early.
that's right. So if you did from slideshow, because we have it on share, so we should be okay with that.
Oh, I hate mechanical objects.
Oh, but it's here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So then I just,
okay. Oh, and you were screen sharing, so this is perfect.
okay, but I just don't know how to,
Okay, so let me look at that. Move it, yeah,
move it.
let me try that,
Okay, thank you.
because then I get to do it work.
All right.
Are you head of Jewish studies?
I'm co-director of Jewish Studies. I'm the chair of the religion department.
How's it going over there?
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, why?
I'm just curious about students feeling safe, Jewish students feeling safe.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you hear is,
Baloney.
yeah, so
Okay,
don't believe anything you
Okay.
hear. It's
Yeah.
really problematic.
Yeah.
So, I think there is a sense that somehow, uh, we as faculty are dangerous in a way that's been sort of a rumor that's been spread by members of the community. And that's really kind of hurt us,
Wow,
both personally and professionally. So
that's horrifying.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's pretty bad. We've been threatened and all kinds of things. I spent my life, like I just finished writing a book that is a love letter to the Jewish community.
oh,
I thought I might leave some of these by the front, if that's okay. Like, this is a bookmark. It has a little bit about the book and a QR code.
Is this the,
Got the settlement cookbook. Want a bookmark?
yes?
good morning.
Cause remember when you
Wow.
told us about that?
It's coming out in June.
Oh my gosh, this
Finally,
is great.
my work. For such a long
The
time.
story of how we became
So-
American.
It will work if we, as I say, these things, it should work as we could, so it's not doing.
But it's not cooking.
We tried to
All right.
become American in the 1700s, actually in the 1600s, I think.
It's
The first. Yeah,
Mhm.
oh, this is gonna be so interesting.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll see. Where would a good place to put these be?
I'm just thinking about that.
Uh,
Maybe at the end of the table there.
Yeah,
Right up here, maybe?
sure, cause people do get bagels and
Yeah.
everything.
Okay.
I love bookmarks.
You know, I was like thinking, should I make, because I've been going and giving talks. I was in
Right.
Richmond this week and I was in Michigan last week. About it, and I was like, should I have a different type of like business card? Because mine is like from the university and there's
Right,
like nothing
right.
right. And then someone suggested to make
How long did
bookmarks.
it take you to write the book?
12 years at least.
12 years.
Well, I have been director of gender studies and chair of the Department of Religion Classics altogether for 11 years.
Ah,
So I think that math kind of helps figure it out. This is my 7th year as chair. So,
oh, really?
not that I'm counting. or anything.
Right. It's okay. So you're not teaching classes?
This semester I'm not, so when you're chair, you teach one class a semester.
Right.
Usually it's 2 classes a semester. But because I didn't think I was going to be chair this year,
Oh,
I
they
I-
forced you.
they did. I scheduled 2 classes in the fall, which actually worked out nicely because now I'm not teaching classes. So I'm just
Right.
doing administrative stuff. And because I've got like this book tour stuff happening, it's
Right.
kind of nice to, and then I'm gonna be on leave.
So that worked out really well.
Yeah, it was accidentally helpful,
You see,
you know? Sometimes Hashem provides. This is so strange.
I know, it,
Yeah,
Yes.
I really would like to be able to use it as a
Yeah.
regular, because I have my notes on it, you know?
cause I'm sticking shit.
All right, maybe we get out of sharing for a second.
And that's, I think I'm to share.
I don't know.
Yes, I'm to share.
Maybe if I reopen it.
That's what, because it's showing like 2 or 3 sets down here.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Okay, may I?
Sure.
Just again, I'm sorry.
Yep, go right
I'm
ahead.
gonna putter with it, because we are
Yes.
no longer full of time.
no, keep it here. If I can sit down.
Yes, I want to enter this wizard. Exit this wizard.
Okay. I don't know. What time are you going to bed at night? Yeah. Were you?
There's somebody in the waiting room.
Yeah, there is.
You didn't do RPO.
Maybe we don't let them in yet.
Oh, sure.
Here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna move it to the desktop, and then I'm gonna take out
I didn't want to go with that.
my
Lester come today? Yes,
drive.
but no, I told him.
So that you don't have to have everything on there.
To make
Oh, I get
pickles.
this.
Oh,
There's actually even a folder that.
well, I made it. and I
It's
cooked
just
it,
on the front
and
right now,
Okay.
so it just,
Oh,
Right.
so.
I'm just taking it
Yeah,
out.
okay.
I know that technically that's not the way you're supposed to do
Yeah.
it. That's-
No, but that's perfect.
Okay, so let's see if this works now.
Good morning.
Um, Good morning. Now, we'll see if we can share it the way we want to. Um, Oh, no, this is not the right share. This, we want the Zoom share. Is that right?
Okay.
All right, hold on, let's see if this will work. Well, it's working there,
I know.
but now it's not letting me, well, I guess if I just. It's not, it won't let me, I'm on a different page and it's not sharing it.
Yeah, right. When is first name?
Okay, hold on, let me look and see what this says.
And I don't know, was it moving even if we stopped this year?
What is this? All right, hold on. Is there more than one thing on here? All right, I'm exiting out of this. There's too many things. All right, I'm sorry, I have a Mac and this is.
Okay. Looking for somebody. Wait to see if somebody comes in who is more computer skills.
Yeah.
We have a new paper person.
You guys do this all the time, so.
Right, and I do too, and that's why I use an HP, so that's why.
But I tried.
All
Thank you.
right.
Why do you suffering from another migraine?
Is this through Teams or is it Zoom?
It's Zoom.
Okay.
No, we're gonna do it.
How is it?
I have.
It's not all the way up.
Paper. Cyanide. Oh, I got one the other day. Oh, good. I took it home.
I don't understand why I can't. What is this?
Thank you.
Should be a little bit.
Can you use the page right now?
Don't say it. All right. Why won't this close? Why can't I read this?
I must have.
Should be able to just close.
Yes. Yes, through Marlene and Luther. They also.
Now,
Sure.
So-
Not this week.
okay, let's try this again. Opening it for the first time. Okay.
Right, let's see if it just moves without sharing it.
Usually the estates, you're not.
I don't mix them. They just separate them. So. What I'm saying, is.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, it does. All right, well, now let's see if I can get that to, if I can share that.
Yeah, I've been.
One more time, baby.
Also,
Right,
teach
share.
lessons. Yeah.
And.
Put that in place, but anyway, I don't, wading through a whole bagel. I don't.
Hold on, maybe it's this one.
Okay, you are sharing. This is excellent.
Okay.
And can you,
Oh, wonderful,
No.
unbelievable.
It's,
Well, you know, we came to Torah study.
well, but you are
Yes,
screen
yesterday
sharing.
morning.
If we
Yeah, I
can-
know, but I was trying to change the.
No,
notification.
he's staying with Victor.
He is.
Yeah.
Victor commissioned it.
Yes, yeah, with Rick Stearns and a few others.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, he said
Oh
he
my gosh,
commissioned it, so.
indeed.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was wonderful,
Rush,
the Torah study.
audiences.
Okay,
Oh, it's, okay, now it's working.
Everybody.
okay.
But it's,
To their
it's odd because it's not
Bravo,
here.
Yeah.
And
Is it
because
working on the arrows?
the Chemistry, the two.
That's how I'm getting it
Yeah.
changed. I'm just
And
not,
it's
I don't know.
Which
I guess fine.
Do you want me to?
Well, he was telling me
You know
that
what?
his daughter.
Do,
Just
open my computer. and my notes will be there. Yeah,
Phenomenal.
I don't really need them. There's not like a
Yeah.
lot.
That's
in case I
probably
to.
going to be
Okay.
her life.
And let's.
The two. The composer.
The composer,
Yeah,
yeah.
I told Gloria, I said.
No, it's not
tell her
up here.
She could read it.
Oh, it's behind.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
maybe
if we're-
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. Good, I know it, well, you don't know, I mean, I don't read up on, wouldn't recognize anything anyway if I get the person. And so.
Probably mistake. Yeah.
And this picture.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Thanks for, right.
Yeah.
What's? All right. Was he here last?
Oh, they're in.
Yes.
Okay.
We can go back and.
Me and my skills are a good crowd.
Able to share. No.
Okay, so we have to just put this. I think the people are just not going to do it. Did you do it from the beginning?
Morning.
Morning. Right, how are you?
Is your book finally out?
It is not. It will be out in June, but if you would like a bookmark that has information about it, it's on the
Should we
table.
do our little shout out?
Sure, that would be great.
Good morning.
I think it's the sharing thing.
I mean, they might not, you know, what, they might just have to see it in the room. We might not be able to share the
Right.
screen. They'll just see it when they see me. But
Okay.
it's not like it's so.
Okay, so now we're just gonna have this one. You wanna unshare?
Yeah, it's unshare. But that's not the right share. That's sharing like to share. So we wanna. Bring that screen sharing. Why won't this switch? So we wanna stop sharing.
Okay.
I don't wanna share it.
Okay, so I have a feeling we're probably not sharing. Okay, yeah, so I don't think we're sharing.
And, all right, let me see if I can.
Yeah, you just, actually, it's not a doing thing. You should just do it, do it.
But I'm on the wrong page again. All right, hold on, let me see.
Okay. All right.
Oh, you already do back. No, you still have to be Monday. You don't think
It's every time we go back to try to get the people in the waiting room.
All right, I wanna stop here.
Oh.
It doesn't offer me that option.
Yeah, that's serious. This is gonna be.
Was there a quick window? I don't wanna start.
You just take escape room, so. What do you see?
It should have.
Right.
So, all right, I'm closing it again. I'm gonna open it one more time. Minimize this. Oh, good. Don't worry. Now.
Are you figuring it out yet?
We were trying,
What are we trying to do?
problem was we were sharing and what that ended up doing was not letting me do my
Are
slides.
you trying to put it in slide mode?
Yes. It's the problem is is sharing it with the Zoom and
Oh.
whether or not. So now this should work for me.
Not for the
But-
people?
It won't, but if they can see me, it's not like the slides are so important, like if you're late, you know, there's whatever. And so everybody theoretically is in.
Yeah. So you can't, when you do share screen, you can.
I can't share, it won't let me
It's not,
control it
yeah.
and change the.
I just select these and then probably pay for the taking data. Practice.
Yeah. Working. And it's weird because.
Send them
Yeah.
the slides
Look,
afterwards.
It's a miracle nowadays that we can even do this at all.
Exactly.
We should
Well,
see that.
the same things I was trying, the same things I do at work. When I'm sitting there.
I mean.
No, because
I know-
the wedding was until 11.
I said, my
Actually, bought
Life is
tickets
a
and
mystery,
go.
you know, what can you say?
The wedding went on. And I felt you need to move. Look at all those happy people chewing bagels.
Yeah, some of the want to sit there.
So many bagels, not enough food. What's that? Yeah, I could do it. I'm all right. Yeah, we should.
My second.
Great. Really glad to see all of us here, chewing bagels, drinking coffee, and gathering in our campus of learning. This is a great opportunity for us to have another one of our own brilliant minds here at Temple Sinai. I think we're all kind of still thinking about Josh's lecture, trying to understand if we're relative or if how can we be in two places at the same time or something like that. Absolutely, right? Where's Josh? I saw you. It's like when you explain it, everybody's like, yeah, we get it. But 10 minutes later, try to explain it to somebody else, right? So we're blessed to have so many brilliant minds here. Temple Sinai. And Dr. Nora Rubel doesn't really need me to introduce her to you all because you know her. And but we are very blessed to have you in our congregation. The head of the religion department at U of R, and an author of a few books, an expert in Jewish food. And in fact, there is a book of Nora coming out in June, which is called Recipes for the Melting Pot. And
The settlement cookbook.
the last,
The lives of the settlement cookbook.
yeah, we have my glasses on me, I see that. Yes, and to say that that would probably have to bring you back for another lecture about the book once it's out.
See.
Yeah. Right. At any rate, you should know that it's coming out, and I don't know if you can pre-order it or just get excited about it. And
It is available for pre-order where all bookstores.
yes. So what an honor and a pleasure. I don't want to take too much of your time from the lecture. This is because Passover is coming. Passover is coming soon, and this will help us hopefully prepare. So thank you so much for being with us this morning.
There are people waiting to get in. You're not doing it?
Let me see if I can help.
If we can do it without
Yeah.
messing it up, yeah.
Yeah,
I would just.
I'll just do this,
Yeah.
and then I'll do. You start. Where's in the Zoom? Is it, did we start the meeting?
Yeah.
Stacy, do you know what's going on?
This is what we were having this meeting waiting for.
The problem, yeah, that's why we can't share the slides.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Then-
I don't wanna be seen.
Good.
They've been getting in on their own.
I just admitted them. And then if I go back to the slide, if I do share screen, by the
Do
way,
not share the screen.
okay, okay. And I go back here. And in God we trust,
Oh,
okay?
again, magic. As we said before, Hashem will provide. Yes.
Have to stop showing you do it.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry.
That's full loud.
Somebody's not muted, I think. Hi, all.
Hi.
Good morning. I'm Nora Rubel. I'm happy to be here. So this, I did not really think of this as a lecture per se. I'm hoping this will be a little more interactive. And as we are entering and probably have been entering for weeks now, the Passover season, I'm not sure exactly what you're expecting because some people seem to think I would have recipes. Some people seem to think I'd have other things. So my intention here is to talk a little bit about traditions of Passover, which I'm going to kind of run through more quickly than I would in a different setting, because I assume that most of you that are here are very familiar with the traditions of Passover. And those of you who choose to show up on a Sunday morning for the whole of the bagel are looking for something more. So my thoughts are, this Passover is my favorite holiday. I've been hosting it since I was a graduate student and I stole it from my parents. And every year I like to think about different ways that this can be made new and more meaningful, because it is supposed to be something that where we put ourselves in the place of having all of us in this generation have been released from Egypt. So again, not going to talk about Passover so much as the food related to it and why food is so central to so many traditions. Let's see if I can actually get this to work. Okay, look at that. So I think probably things that are going to come, and then I'd like us to have more of a conversation. And I realize I should probably not be swinging the microphone around. This is a problem for me. So we're going to talk about how food is integral, what foods, how do we know which foods to eat and not to eat? Is there wiggle room? Yes and no. But I'd like to talk about the wiggle room. I'd like to talk about the things we can do that maybe might elevate our time. So
The first question, well, the first question is food is integral to the meaning of Passover. How many of you host a Seder?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. How many of you are attendants at Seders? Okay. So Passover is actually the most attended or most celebrated Jewish holiday. Something like 80-something% of American Jews report attending a Seder, which is far more than lighting Shabbat candles, keeping kosher, lighting Hanukkah candles. Passover is the most popular Jewish holiday because so many different meanings can be ascribed to it. There's so many reasons why people like Passover. Let me just ask you, what's your favorite thing about Passover? Anybody that feels that the spirit is moving them to talk. Hi, what's your name?
Milo.
Milo. What's your favorite thing?
I like the story.
Like the story. Yeah. And that's the main thing, right? To tell the story. You're supposed to tell the story or else you weren't at a Seder, right? Like that's, you just show up for dinner and nobody tells a story. It's just dinner, right? Okay, great. What else? Yes.
Following what you just said, I love the fact that so many of us get together in one place from different backgrounds, all to celebrate Passover.
Yes.
We've had as many as 65.
Amazing.
And that, to me, over the years has just been thrilling to be with a family of friends like that to celebrate one holiday.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. And you have the same people that come every year that become, if not biological family, chosen family. And I always like to have somebody new, right?
Yeah, well, the students who come are new.
Yeah, and we always are, we my daughter last year wore a t-shirt to Seder. We're very casual because we have a very long Seder, and her t-shirt said, "My Seder is longer than your Seder." So I think that there is a tendency to rush through the Seder to get to dinner. And my goal today is to tell you, you don't have to do that. There are ways to make the Seder longer and more pleasurable. There's no reason to, like the when do we eat thing is, I think, one of the things that holds us back from really embracing the beauty of the holiday. Again, I'm not meant to be prescriptive. Everyone can do whatever they want. These are just suggestions. But yes, it is nice to have new people because when you tell the story, it feels like sometimes you can feel like I'm telling the same story. And it doesn't, and so it's new if you have someone new there. But the other thing is that we're always different, right? We're not the same people we were last year. So the story might mean something new to you, and you are sitting at the Seder this year and thinking about what's going on in the world or what might be going on with you personally. And it might be very different than last year. Okay. And food is such a great way of telling stories. And, and it's not even just the consuming of food, it's the preparation of food, right? It's the who are you cooking with? What are you thinking of? Is this something your mother made? Is this something your grandfather made? It brings back memory, right? So both taste and smell are really, really important. So I want to get into how do we know what we're supposed to do? We have directions. It's called the Haggadah. How many of you recognize this one?
Oh, yes.
Okay, how many of you grew up with the Maxwell House Haggadah? So the Haggadah is the most, there are the most versions. This is a religious text that has the most versions like available, right? It becomes there are Haggadot that go back prior to the printing press, but it's not until we have a printing press that we start to see proliferation. the Maxwell House Haggadah is the only religious text that's ever been given out for free at a grocery store. Beginning in 1932, Maxwell House had this great idea. Does anyone know why Maxwell House? No? Mhm. Well, yes, obviously, corporation, they saw an in. Now, what are kitniot? Anyone? Legumes, beans.
Yeah.
Can you have coffee on Passover? Yes, yes, because it's a berry, right? So Eastern European Jews were tea drinkers for the most part. And when they came to the United States, they, Americans were coffee drinkers primarily, started drinking coffee. They liked coffee. Suddenly there was a question, can you have coffee at your Seder? Can you drink coffee during the week of Passover? It's a bean. It's not a bean, it's a berry. And so there was a concerted effort with Maxwell House to say, yes, coffee is kosher for Passover. And so the Maxwell House Haggadah was born. And so you can get a copy if you buy a can of beans. And so people would collect them over years. You buy your coffee, you get your Haggadah. It changed. This is obviously probably not the edition that most of you are familiar with. It's gone through many, many different printings. A few years ago, there was a deal made with Amazon and the television show The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel to create a special Mrs. Maisel edition of the Maxwell House Haggadah, which I of course had to have, along with all of the people that are in my like weird world of Jewish food people. Of course, that meant we had to buy Maxwell House coffee, which, to be fair, I think a lot of us have moved on from at this point. And you know what? We've moved on for a reason. So I brought that coffee to work. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm getting these Keurigs. I'm going to put it in my office. I was shocked at how quickly they went, though. People were like, oh, I'll have this. So because of its ease, this is the text that a lot of people grew up with, but there are so many more versions, right? There are very traditional texts. Starting in the 1970s, you really start to see like a proliferation of these very different individual ones that can be political, they can be about food. I know that when I was in college, I had a copy of the Haggadah for the Liberated Lamb for the vegetarians amongst us. There is a women's Haggadah. There was a Haggadah that was put out for Soviet Jewry.
Yes.
There's anything you could want is in there. But what's important, of course, this is where, as Milo will say, this is where we tell the story from, right? The story is in the Haggadah, but it also tells us what we're supposed to be eating and when we're supposed to be eating it, right? So this comes as no surprise to you, I'm assuming, the traditional Seder plate. So I just want to talk about some of the things that are on the plate and ways that different people use them. And also, this is very casual, so if anybody wants to like raise their hand and ask a question, that's fine with me. So, oh no, here, okay. This is not my computer. Okay, so Zeroa, what is this? I feel like this is like when you're in the Seder, Al Shuman, why do we eat this? Well, we don't usually eat this, but okay, it's the shank bone. Why do we have a shank bone?
Because God renewed us with a mighty outstretched arm, and that's what it's supposed to.
Okay, yes.
Putting the blood on the door so that.
That's right, it's a sacrificial lamb where the blood would go on the doorposts, and therefore the angel of death knew to pass over. So it's actually pretty important, I guess, if you're talking about the holiday. How many of you here don't eat meat? Okay, so there are options and they go back as far as the Talmud. Does anyone know what the option is? A beet, because a beet bleeds, right? So you can go and there were vegetarians in the Talmudic period. So for those of you that don't want to go to your butcher and say, hey, can I have a shank bone? Which is usually what one does, and then you put it in the oven so that it gets a little crispy or whatever. You can also roast a beet, and it will also represent the Paschal sacrifice. So that is the thing that one can do. So a beet. Beitza. The egg. Why do we have an egg?
Circle of life.
Circle of life. Spring, new beginnings, circle of life. Okay. Yes?
This one thing we stole from pagans as a situation.
We stole so many things from pagans. Yeah, sure. I mean, and then that was also taken by others. It's no surprise that in the spring, the Easter bunny brings eggs. You try to figure that out with, like in a logical way, you lose the plot, but that's okay. So some Jews just put a regular hard-boiled egg on their Seder. Some Jews will roast it, and again, another like homage to the sacrifices in the temple. And by the way, the first Passover Seders started happening after the destruction of the temple, because when the temple was around, you could go and the priests would do the sacrifices for you. This is more of a situation where suddenly we're at home. How are we Jews without the temple? So this is, and it's been an evolution. Like, took a really long time for the Seder to look like it does now. And of course, we keep altering it. So religion changes, practice changes. For those of you,
Excuse me, it's Joyce online.
oh, hi.
Hi, I apologize, but want to go back to the shank bone for a minute?
Sure.
So in the Chabad Passover Seder, which their booklet, which I find very interesting, they talked about using the chicken neck instead of a shank bone, which is what I grew up with. My mother, my grandmother, our family always used a chicken neck. And when it was only in my later life that I started using the shank bone.
Yes, and actually that is a variation that a lot of times in Sephardic Jewry, they tend to use a chicken bone or a chicken neck.
Yeah,
instead of the shank.
they're Ashkenazic, but yeah.
Things move around, but so there's the variation. You could do a shank bone, you could do a chicken neck, you could do something that looks possibly like something. I mean, in this particular case, this is a symbol, right? And you can, and what happens with symbols is you take the meaning from them, right? And you have all these situations where maybe you don't have access to certain things. Right? There is a blessing that people in concentration camps came up with to bless the eating of chametz because they had no option. So really you can use, I mean, there are things that we're supposed to use, and then there's the things we do use, and the meaning, I wouldn't begin to tell people what the meaning of the item is to them, right? There's sort of what's on the page, but I think we all kind of bring to it our own things. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. I meant to actually mention the chicken neck, and I didn't. So thank you, Joyce. Okay. Again, so for those of you that know me, I'm a vegan. This is like one of those things, the jokes about vegans, like how long does it take for you to figure out someone's a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. But that means that I don't use an egg on my Seder plate. there are other options. Has anyone ever seen also, Sephardic Jews will do a very slow, long cooked egg as opposed to kind of just a regular, like fresh, hard boiled egg. Has anyone ever seen a substitute for an egg on a Seder plate? Yeah.
Sprig of flowers.
Yep, that's what we do. We do flowers. Flowers. When my kids were younger and they had like play food and stuff, you know, they had like a wooden egg from like one of their, like, I don't know, toy sets or something. And so we put it on there. But then I read about using a flower because that also expresses renewal and spring and new life, right? So, and it's also very pretty. You have like a little daisy on your Seder plate. It's lovely. Karpas. What is karpas? Yeah, Milo.
Well, I was gonna go back to the egg, I was thinking maybe a pomegranate.
A pomegranate. That's great. Why?
Or if you think about how a pomegranate is, it's like a big thing that has stuff inside it. It's not very much like an egg, but I know there's a lot of things that people like they use pomegranate. And we see it with represent things like some people think maybe the apple. Is like that when we eat pomegranate pomegranate.
That's right. We don't actually know what that fruit is, right? And it's been kind of passed down that it's an apple, but we don't really know what the forbidden fruit was. So that's a great point. Yeah, and I mean that's really interesting. A pomegranate, that could do double duty too, because the pomegranate also bleeds. If you try to open one in your kitchen, it will get all over you. And you do have seeds, which would lead to rebirth as well. That's a great idea. And the pomegranate is often used in Jewish imagery, usually in the fall because it's more just seasonally appropriate, but I hadn't thought about that. That's a great idea. Thank you. And it's round, which fulfills our needs. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I'm not spending too much time on these very basics. Karpas. What is that? Well, this is parsley, yes. Greens. Yeah, greens. Greens. Why do we eat it? Spring. More spring. There's kind of a little bit of like, you know, you go through it and you're like, okay, also spring, you know, but but it really can be a lot of different things. You could use celery, you could use radishes, you could use other spring things. Spring potatoes too can be dipped. And that brings us to salt water, right? So and actually some Sephardic and Mizrahi communities use lemon juice instead of salt water, but which has a similar function. So why the dipping? Tears, bitterness, sadness, right? Maror. Bitter herbs. What do you use for your bitter herbs? Horseradish. Yeah, that is and that's primarily Ashkenazi. A tradition just because of the ease of its growth. You can either use fresh, no problem. You can use like an actual horseradish that you grate yourself, or I chop mine into little like bits and people eat them, and that's intense. Or you can use prepared horseradish, but either way it will bring a sting. I feel like it's important and to let you know that if you are someone who drinks alcohol, it is not too late to start infusing vodka with horseradish before the Seder for your maror shots, which I make every year. And You wanna maybe take this much horseradish of a root, cut it up, throw it in a bottle and with some maybe dried chilies and black peppercorns. Don't let it go more than 36 hours. It will be. Some people might say it's undrinkable anyway, but it will really be undrinkable after 36 hours. But like, start tasting after 24. That just means we've got a week, we've got over a week. So you have plenty of time if this is something you would like to add to your practice. Horseradish is not what everybody uses. Some people use romaine lettuce, which is also seen as bitter. Sometimes endive. Like there are all kinds of bitter herbs you can use. Chicory, like whatever is available, you know, and that becomes your tradition, right? You know, we have these traditions that start out because they're seasonal and regional, and then you move and you take them with you, right? Like, why do people in California eat turkey and cranberry sauce on Thanksgiving? It doesn't totally make sense, right? Like, it's like a New England type squash or whatever. It's because that became sort of like what people eat on this time. That's another story and a rabbit hole I don't want to, you know. But so this is the bitterness of slavery. And then we have Hazeret, which always confused me as a child because I'm like, what's this other thing that we have that is kind of essentially the same thing? So this is endive. So if you wanted to have both horseradish and endive, you could do that.
Why are these bowls all dirty? That's been bothering me.
You'd have to ask the good people at Spruce Eats where I stole these photos from. I think they're supposed to be earthen. I think they're like rustic.
Yes.
They're not dirty.
It's the pottery.
It's the pottery, but that's a good question. These are all good questions. Thank you, Laura. All right, so Haroset is one of the places where there is the most diversity on the plate, right? What is Haroset and what's it supposed to be? The mortar, right? What do you put in your Haroset? Anyone?
Apples, nuts, and wine.
Apple, okay, wait, one at a time, because these are different, what I'm hearing.
Apples, raisins, Chambord. Almonds.
Yeah. So I'll repeat it. Apples, raisins, you said almonds,
Almond.
and Chambord.
What's Chambord?
It's a liqueur.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. That is fascinating. Okay. So yeah, so it's, and all right, how about somebody else?
Apples, walnuts, Manischewitz wine.
Oh, yeah.
And sugar.
And sugar. Okay. Interesting. All right. So apples, walnuts, Manischewitz,
Has to be Manischewitz.
of course. And then you have this bottle that just sits there and then you're like, is this good for next year? I don't know. And sugar. Okay. Sometimes people use honey or date syrup, right? But that's a very traditional, what you're presenting is a very traditional Ashkenazi recipe. Yeah.
We do that one with cinnamon, and also
Oh, cinnamon,
I
right.
make a Yemenite parosis with golden figs, dark figs, dates, hard-boiled egg, a little hot pepper.
There's egg in it?
There's hard-boiled egg that you grate, so you can't taste there's egg. It
That-
really holds together.
That's so interesting. I had never heard of that.
My
That's
favorite.
amazing. I mean, I know Sephardic, there's many different types of Sephardic ones that are more like a paste, right? Like they really like a mortar. And usually it's dried
Sometimes I
fruits.
put apricots, but you have to start doing it a few days ahead, because the wine really has to soak in, so it all sticks together, otherwise you have little pieces.
I didn't realize.
Oh, and it has fresh ginger.
And fresh ginger. Delicious. You know, sometimes you can, sorry, 1 second. You can sometimes take those and make them into truffles. Like if you make enough of your haroset and it, like the Sephardic haroset, you can roll it into balls and then maybe use like crushed pistachio around it, and then it also doubles as a dessert. Like a little snack, so something to think about. Yes, Monica.
Years ago, for one of our celebrity chefs that you conducted one year, one of our former members is an Iranian Jew, and she talked about how her mother bought the spices at the bazaar and dried them on the roof. And she talked about Iranian haroset. And then I attended a Hadassah conference, and Joan Nathan, the famous cookbook author, said, you know, why only this Ashkenazi one? Be different. And in her book, she has.
She's like 13 different ones, yeah.
So we experiment, and it's regional. She has this thing from Suriname. Who even knew where Suriname was? Right, with coconut and so regional things. So we also like use the Yemenite, the Egyptian, the Suriname.
Italians use banana.
Yeah.
Which is surprising, but is a thing. Yeah.
So it's interesting to have 4 different ones for people to sample.
That
makes it more fun, right?
I agree. I think doing a little haroset bar is, no, I'm serious. Like we've done that too, or we've made just a bunch of different ones, or it's also something fun to task your guests with, to say, can you bring a different haroset? It's not like something that's so labor intensive that you're asking them to like roast a brisket or something, but like it's kind of fun, and then you have these different little flavors. So that's a great idea. Yeah. But yes, Joan Nathan is the author of all the things. Yes.
So one time I had to do a Seder in Mexico, and we could not find apples or other nuts, and we ended up with making one out of oranges and peanuts. That's just what we could find.
Interesting.
So what is the, yes.
And then I made this part of whatever your orange juice or zest.
Ooh. Okay, so this is great. And the other thing to know about haroset is, so it's supposed to represent the mortar, but it also takes its meaning from Song of Songs as like this sort of with these fruits, and also the story that because Pharaoh was essentially calling for the genocide of the Israelites and killing all of the babies, the fact that women still procreated. There's a story that they would lure their husbands under the fruit trees and seduce them there. And so that this is also sort of like about that, about like this defiance that, you know, will continue to produce despite, you know, what you threaten us with. So orange zest. Knocking that away. Anything else about, and usually, and spices, right? Like there's always some spice, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, right? We are, so 4 glasses of wine. People differ on how large those glasses are. I know at our Seders, there's always like confusion, like, wait, what glass are we on? Are we supposed to drink it? Are we supposed to finish this now? At this point, things get a little confusing, but there is a reason. Why, does anyone know what the 4 glasses symbolize? Well, I know Jan Katz does. But she's trying to hold it under.
Promises of God.
Yeah. So, and also over time, you know, there are other meanings that have been attached to these 4 glasses, right? The 4 comes up a lot in the Seder, but so the first is usually seen as the cup of sanctification. God says, I'll bring you out from slavery. There's the cup of affliction and deliverance. I will free you from being slaves. And the cup of redemption, I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. And then the 4th is praise. I will take you as my people. So, wine. I don't know if there's anything anybody does interestingly other than drink it or replace it with grape juice, so we can move on.
So usually on the table, you have a cup for Elijah, and more recently, many people will have a cup for Miriam. How many of you have a cup for Miriam? Reformed Jews, you know? You guys have it all. So Elijah's cup is filled with wine for when that guy wanders around everybody's house and takes a sip and, you know, stumbles home. And then Miriam's cup is filled with water to symbolize, you know, this sustaining of the Jewish people while they were in the wilderness. So those are just sometimes we've had the tradition and of everybody adding a little bit of their wine to Elijah's cup so that at the beginning of the Seder, so that you feel like you because Elijah you know suggests the coming of the Messianic age, that we are all involved with this project of redemption. So that's the only thing I can suggest about Elijah. Okay. All right, then we of course have matzah. Did you know that at one point the square matzah was seen as an affront? It was so controversial because matzah is traditionally round. It's like a flatbread, like a pita almost, you know. And now you can buy for a very expensive box of matzah shmura, which people either love or hate. I personally love it. I like the char, but in the 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, they started making matzah with machine, and it was very controversial because that's not what matzah looks like, which is hard for us to believe because that's only what matzah looks like. And also, there were arguments that it was taking jobs away from like Jewish laborers too. There were all kinds of arguments, and then it was also saying, but on the other side, it was making it more affordable for Jews. So these were like fierce fights. And if anyone is interested in learning more about this, Jonathan Sarna has like an amazing article about this. And if anyone's interested, email me, I'll send it to you. Right. So we have our machine-made matzah, our shmura, which it means watched. And that's why it's so expensive, because people have to make sure that it's done within the right amount of time. And then we use part of the second matzah, the middle matzah in the Seder as the afikomen, which becomes a goofy game that has many different variations on it. But the thing I did want to bring up is that you can make your own matzah. You know, like if you are not held to Orthodox traditions, and even if you are, depending on your house, you can make your own matzah. And it's sometimes really fun to do that, especially with kids, because you have to do it in a short period of time. So, and it comes out, if you make it yourself, it's actually really tasty. You can use like sea salt. It's more like a Sardinian flatbread that they sell at Whole Foods. But yeah, it's kind of a fun thing that you can do, and you have to have a timer going to make sure that it doesn't ferment and rise. So we've got this countdown. Anyway, something to totally think about. Mark Bittman had an article about this, like, I don't know, probably like 15 years ago in the New York Times, but you can find there's a bunch of Jewish cookbooks these days that have the DIY matzah. And I just recommend it as like a thing to do with grandchildren or something else. Like, and you don't have to use it, but you can, I don't know, last year I did it with my niece and we used those for the actual Seder. And then we had like the regular kind on the table, but just a fun thing.
You know, the Chabad rabbis, I don't know if they still do it, matzah bakery.
I know.
Right, at JCC every year, and
My youngest, so when Temple Sinai took the kids, or no, maybe it was the JCC, they took the kids to the matzah factory, and my husband, I was out of town, my husband took our youngest, because I guess he had them, so because Ash was so small, the DNC thought
that Ash was just so cute, so their face was on the cover
Oh,
of
no kidding.
the article. I still have it like laminated, it's like America's first fast food. But yeah, no, the matzo factory is really, really fun. All right, so these are all our traditional things that everyone's pretty much familiar with. And I wanted to talk a little bit about newish Jewish symbols. Many of us are now at an age that the orange is so traditional that people didn't even know that it wasn't there before, right? The story behind the orange is very complicated. Why do we have an orange on the Seder plate? What does it symbolize? Yes.
Wasn't it something about the, a woman was as likely to be a rabbi as an orange would be on a Seder plate?
Thank you for opening with that, because that is the story that most people tell. However, there's more to it. So in the 80s, Susanna Heschel was at, I want to say Dartmouth, but maybe it wasn't. But she met with a group of queer women who were talking about their exclusion from the Jewish community. And they suggested putting a crust of bread on the Seder plate to demonstrate how much people thought of them as transgressive. And so she said, no, how about an orange? Like, how about an orange, which, what's the word? I don't know, what does an orange do? What does fruit do? Like it, I'm losing words now. It brings something to it. It doesn't transgress, right? Like it refreshes it, right? It's refreshing. And she was like, and then we could eat the segments of the apple of the orange and spit out the seeds, like spitting out the seeds of homophobia. However, the story that, I'm sorry, what's your name? Mara, yeah. So that story that you just told is the story that became popular. Susanna Heschel years later was like, how did this story get co-opted? And I mean, and it became like, that was the story that everyone told forever. It was told at the Women's Seder, this very famous Mayan Women's Seder, about how there was some rabbi on Miami Beach who said a woman belongs on the bima like bread, like bread on the Seder plate, right? And so it's only been recently that the real story has sort of emerged. I actually have a colleague who tried to get he wrote an article about trying to find the real story, like getting all of it. It's a funny story because at the end he's just like, well, I really thought I was going to be the guy that was going to really get it perfectly. But one of the things that I like about this story is that when you ask, and we do this at our Seder, why the orange? Inevitably, someone will tell that story. And then somebody will say, no, it's not. And then there will be this conversation. And then this becomes part of the telling, right? Because the telling is so much about what the story is. So it does represent inclusion. And again, we all bring different things to our symbols. You want to think of it as being inclusive of women who have been, I mean, I remember growing up with a Haggadah that said, even women, children, and slaves may sit at the table during the Passover Seder. It's not like women were always brought in, and so, but it does represent inclusion of LGBTQ people, but you can bring to it whatever you want to bring to it. Yeah.
So I distinctly remember it started as a lemon in the late 70s. My best friend's mom was a librarian, and she explained the lemon belongs on the Seder plate like a woman belongs on the bima.
Okay.
And then a few years later, we changed it to an orange. We replaced it with an orange, saying if this is inclusion, it's not just women, it's also the gay community. And so it was like building upon the inclusion.
Oh.
But I remember as a young child, well, whatever I was, as a, 8-year-old, whatever, that I remember thinking, well, it's interesting that it's not and. We didn't have a lemon and an orange. We replaced the lemon with the orange.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
I still am sort of wrangling with that.
Yeah.
Because I still think it's interesting that some symbols get to be in addition to, and then some symbols are sort of traded.
Right.
And so we've lost the lemon part, even in talking about it today. So I think that's interesting. But I distinctly remember when she was like, "This year we're doing an orange."
Instead of a lemon.
Correct. Yeah.
Fascinating. Again,
Yeah.
I had not heard that. Thank you, Nora. Fascinating. So at this point, our Seder plate is has extended beyond the plate that it has. So because there are all kinds of different things that one can put on a Seder plate. So two that we use, one is olives. It's one of the first plants mentioned in the Torah and is native to Palestine and now Israel. And it's become such a universal symbol of peace, right? What that means to people differs, and what kind of peace we're talking about differs. But and again, right, we put onto our symbols what is meaningful to us. So that's something. This one is the newest addition that we've been putting on our Seder plate. Have any of you seen garlic on a Seder plate? Yeah, Josh, what's the garlic for?
I forgot, my brother-in-law told me, but.
It's the one that I always have to look up too, because I'm like, it's really cool, and I can't remember why.
It's something about being hidden in the.
So garlic has a long history in for the Jewish people in a variety of ways, right? It's mentioned in the Talmud. Jews are mentioned as garlic eaters. You're supposed to have garlic on the Sabbath. It is, along with fish, an aphrodisiac. Okay, but it is also so in the Talmud, Jews are it's talked about how we love garlic, right? Jews are garlic eaters. Years later, this becomes a slur about Jews, right? That Jews are garlic eaters, they smell of garlic. That's how you can tell someone's a Jew. So that's kind of dark, but the idea of the garlic also, partially it's because it's, a bunch of different pieces that are connected. People have been starting to place it on the Seder plate as a symbol of solidarity. Like, we're kind of all in this together. And, I think one of the things that we've learned over the last few years is how important community is, and how important it is to be, together and held together. There's differences, right? You can peel the garlic and then a bunch of pieces come out, but it's also held together in a way. So again, could be a totally different story. And that's one of the beauties of these things, right? Like, where does it come from? My kid likes it because it's sort of witchy, because there's also some stuff about herbalism and medicine and with garlic. But there are a bunch of other things, right? So that I don't have on here, but there are sometimes, okay, so I've seen fair trade chocolate, which is a way of symbolizing contemporary slavery. I like to give out chocolate during my Seder when I ask questions, and if anybody answers the questions, I throw them chocolate. Keeps people engaged, children and adults alike. Let's see, pine cones. Sorry, I have to look this up because there are so many. Pine cones, which have symbolized criminal justice reform. Bananas.
Does he connect that?
I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I wish I knew. I knew
It's
like
fascinating.
I knew at one point and now I can't remember. But I will look it up.
I can Google it too.
Okay, bananas, which was standing with refugees, immigrants.
Oh, actually,
Yep.
the other Rabbi Katz, was the first person who taught me about bananas on the Seder plate.
Oh, well, there you go. Most recently, I've heard of artichokes as being about inclusivity of interfaith relationships. Which I love that this is a symbol because the artichoke is very controversial in Jewishness these days. Because there's an argument about kashrut that Jews shouldn't have artichokes because it's too hard to check for bugs. Now, something like 8 years ago, the chief rabbi of Israel put out a thing saying, right before Passover, saying artichokes aren't kosher anymore. Chief rabbi of Rome was like, go F yourself. Because, the Jews of Rome are like the oldest Jewish community that's still in existence, and actually artichokes are really important for their Seder. So this becomes like a thing, and I kind of love that. I love that it's this push and pull, right? The artichoke is, I'm always like, I'm the artichoke. I stand with the artichoke. So, je suis artichoke. So anyway, so there are all kinds of different things. Yes.
Or I just looked it up. Adding a pine cone to a Passover Seder plate is a modern symbolic addition representing racial justice and prison reform. And the human spirit hidden within prisons, as popularized by Rabbi Ari Sofer, blah, blah, blah. It symbolizes the need to work to open up justice, similar to how nature compels a pine cone to open.
Wow. Okay. Well, now we've all learned something. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jen. I love having a little,
Dr. Google.
it's very helpful. Okay. So just lastly, and I'm gonna rush through this because I really want to talk about one other thing. Yes?
Just one more, when the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out, that year we all ran out and had beets.
Oh,
To
okay.
symbolize Ukraine.
Okay. So for me, that beat did double duty and I didn't even know it. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so forbidden foods, it's a bunch of grains, right? We're not supposed to have fermented products of wheat, spelt, barley, oats, and rye. The one thing that gets in the way is this kitniot, which is legumes and rice, which Sephardic Jews allow for. And I believe the conservative movement has finally said, yeah, okay. And the reform movement has said, yeah, okay. So, but yeah, people hold to their traditions, and whether or not they use it or not, Italian Jews have always used rice, and they've had it as part of their Seder, like traditional Italian recipes. I'm going to skip past that because what you can't have is less interesting than what you can have. Oh, yes. Hi.
I could be wrong about this, but the forbidden foods of the grains and like I said, I could be wrong about this. Would it have something to do because of how the Jews were treated as a slavery to the grain field from Egypt?
So the story that's usually told is that because Jews had to leave in the middle of they had to leave so quickly, they didn't have time for their bread to rise. So the problem is really leavening. So it's all the forbidden grains are known as chametz, right? Stuff you can't have, like bread that's leavened, which is why when you're making matzah, you have to time it to make sure that the water and the flour don't sit together long enough to leaven on its own. But I'm sure that there are other interpretations, like kind of toiling in the fields. But the traditional story is about the leavening. And sometimes people take chametz to mean like also being puffed up, right? You want to get rid of the chametz, you want to get rid of your your ego. Yeah. But I do, okay, I'm just gonna move really quickly because this, and of course, like 3 minutes later, 3 minutes left, this is the thing I really care about. Yes. Oh, I do? Oh, okay. Thank you. I will relax a little bit.
It's the 11 time.
The leavening of time. Okay, does anyone want to talk more about grains? Yeah,
So, two questions.
yes.
Cause my take was always the forbiddenness was the 11, like letting it leaven, not so much the food product.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why something like Coca-Cola with corn always seemed okay, cause it's like, oh, as long as the corn syrup didn't leaven in the manufacturing process or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So in Jewish practice, there is what's known as a fence. And this is kind of where we always get into trouble. Not really, but this is sort of, the idea is that you could get into trouble without a fence, right? So, we put these sort of boundaries around things to make sure that, you know, you don't transgress, right? So why can't you carry money on the Sabbath? It's not so much that you can't carry, I mean, you're really not supposed to carry things, but money specifically isn't really weighty, but you're not supposed to spend money on the Sabbath, so you shouldn't have it with you, right? Because you might just forget and accidentally stop into a store on your way back from shul or whatever. And the kitniyot is partially due to the forbiddenness about corn and things like that. That is also really a fence. So there's the difference between like custom and halakha. It's actually not halakha, it's not Jewish law that says you can't have corn or beans or rice. It's custom and that's primarily Ashkenazi, and there's several reasons. The one I had always heard was, you know, you plant these things all around the same place, who knows what blew into another field. You might accidentally eat these foods. And like maybe something sat with water too long and it leavened and you're unaware of it. And that's why the Coca-Cola, the corn syrup is something that's why everyone gets very excited about Coke during Passover, right? Because you're like, oh, I can get it with real sugar. And you know, because most sodas at this point are sweetened with corn syrup and not sugar. But yeah, so that's kind of partially a fence, right? So you can decide whether or not you think this makes sense to you or not. It's the beauty of the fact that it's actually not law. But a lot of times Agadah or custom becomes so ingrained that it feels like law, right? Like it has the same weight as law. Does that make sense? Okay. Anything else about grains? So now we have so much time. Yes.
So for both Passover and Lent, I've always wondered the difference between things that you give up as a sacrifice. You know, things where you're supposed to feel the loss, but then the end runs people do around them as it's just kind of a source of creativity instead.
Yeah, you can look at it as a couple of ways, right? Like, so I always think of like the Feast of the Seven Fishes in Italian cuisine, right? On you're not supposed to have meat on Friday. Not on Friday. Well, you're not supposed to have meat on Friday, but you're not supposed to have meat on Christmas Eve, right? It's the vigil. And so it's supposed to be very kind of severe in Catholicism. It's supposed to be very severe. You know, you have the feast on Christmas Day. The Italians in their culinary wisdom were like, but you can have fish, right? And look at what we can do with fish, you know, and it becomes this major feast, really the Feast of the Seven Fishes. That's delicious and very exciting. So yeah, so you have these weird products that exist, right? And you could say like, this is creativity. Like, you can go into Wegmans and buy boxes of things that will make cakes or muffins or breads, right? That technically don't transgress the rule, right? I've always, and part of this is me just not having a sweet tooth, but I'm always like, you can't go a week without cake. Like, there are other desserts, right? Like there are other things you can make, but that's my own personal feeling. And I do know that people do this, like they, you know, like and the argument for it would be to enhance and bring the joy that if you really like cake or muffins, that enhances the joy of the celebration. But yeah, you're right. Like there's all these workarounds, right? Like, yeah.
I also thought potato bread was a workaround.
Yes, potatoes are used in so many things. It's like you can use potato flour. Yeah, that was actually before all of these kind of mass-produced products came around. People would use potato flour in cakes and all kinds of things, like, and that was very big. I remember once I was in Israel and I, like over Passover, and I was like at a fancy hotel, and they had a sushi restaurant, and during Passover, they still had sushi, but instead of it being on rice, it was on potato. And I was like, huh. Okay. So, but yes, potato flour has historically been a thing that people would use for during Passover. Anything else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing it's important to know about the whole thing of the matzah and the bread. And this is from, you said the vegan will always tell you, so a lot of people are that I'm gluten free, so I'm basically unleavened bread, it's free Passover all year round. But, so as someone who practices that religiously, something about the matzah and the unleavened bread is in fact not about Egypt at all. It's about, if you look in the Torah, the ancient layer of our holiday is actually agricultural. And there's a lot of rituals that have to do, Passover was the beginning of the ancient New Year's, actually, in the spring. There's the first 50 days of the New Year, there are rituals about harvest.
Counting the Omer, yeah.
Counting the Omer, and if you look in there's very complicated rules about you eat leavened bread and unleavened bread in temple and in other places, and who can do it and can't do it. And it's very possible, or it's likely, that when we celebrate those, it actually take all the way from Passover to Shavuot, it's not just a memory of how we came from the land of Egypt, and that may have been an addition, but we're actually connecting to the agricultural orders of the Middle East.
Which is what you brought up earlier,
that was,
right? Or similar to what you were saying, I think.
So I apologize if I wasn't listening.
Yeah, but I may have shut him down. So this is.
If I'm repeating something.
See, the rabbi is back in.
Right, so, and it actually brings, so sorry if I was carried away by thought and didn't hear someone else here, repeating, but it's actually very important to know that we have different layers each holiday, like you were saying, and that actually there's a layer of Passover that's even more ancient to the story of the Exodus, and it's just, like you mentioned, the olives, it's a connection to the land, so there's also that story there as well.
Yeah, I think that's also really important to know, like all most biblical Jewish holidays have two meanings. One is usually agricultural and one is biblical. And the reason that our holidays are so seasonal is because Passover happens in the spring. So our calendar is lunar, but not purely lunar in the way that the Islamic calendar is. Ramadan just ended. Ramadan can take place in the summer, which is kind of a nightmare for our Muslim friends because it's such a long day and sometimes it's very hot. In the winter, it's shorter, but it can happen at any point in the year because there's no anchor. So this is why we have second Adar, like a February 2 or whatever, like a leap month. Rabbi, help me out. Is it like 7 times in 19 years?
It's an algorithm.
It's some.
My 100-year-old grandfather in Israel.
He's like,
it was incorrect. It was in trouble. They try to calculate it, and then maybe we need Josh Faber to help us fix it. It is what you said. Yes.
Yeah. So that's like Passover is really important. It's so important that Passover be in the spring because of all of these things, and that's why. Hanukkah can be as early as Thanksgiving or as late as Christmas or New Year's, but never further, right? That's why things kind of move around, but are still seasonally correct. Someone had a hand up. Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking in relation to what Josh said about end runs.
Yeah.
Rules of Passover.
You should have a slide of what an Israeli bakery looks like on Passover. It's crazy.
The ones that are able to be open, yes,
Yes.
what they have to do to be open.
And just the selection.
Yeah.
And the gorgeous baked goods and selections.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Nora?
Yes.
Hi. I'd like to go back to the thing you started with about the Haggadot.
Yes.
And so Bob and I remember what seems to me, I could be wrong, like the first alternative Haggadah, which Arthur Waskow wrote, and it was part of Ramparts magazine. And it was Black Jewish, and it was about civil rights. And because before that, my memory is it was either Maxwell House or the Union, and that seemed like it opened up. And after that, there was just the explosion of every kind of Haggadah for all kinds of purposes. And as a matter of fact, we have a copy of the Ramparts, a part of the magazine, which Arthur actually signed for us at his 80th birthday.
That's such a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And that actually is a great segue into what I was just about to talk about. So, Arthur Waskow's Freedom Seder, which is about civil rights and came out in the 60s, really kind of spearheaded. I mean, people I think always brought things into their Seders, but the fact that the Haggadah would change itself was kind of spearheaded by the Freedom Seder, and suddenly all of a sudden you had all of these different things that you could do. So and in the 70s you have the Jewish catalog. How many of you have the Jewish catalog in your house? Have. Such an amazing text, right? The first one, the second one, the third one's a little like, I don't know. But they're really amazing, and it is like the beginning of like Kabbalah Judaism or DIY Judaism, right? I want to encourage you to make your own kind of Seder, and one of the things that I wanted to say, like at the beginning when I said, there's so much of a desire to run through it so you can get to the meal. I don't know how many of you have Seders like that. I might be just talking to like people who don't, you're not in. Yes. Okay. Here's the thing. After you say the blessing over karpas, you can eat anything. Like you can dip, we do it like it's a cocktail party. Like we start out in the living room, and there's something psychological about not sitting at the table, which gives you more time, right? And so these are just little hints. I'm not like the Passover whisperer, but like I love this holiday, and like we're always doing something else. But once we moved into the living room, it changes the dynamic tremendously. So when you have the salt water, you can put out steamed potatoes, you can put out other kinds of crudité, you can put hard-boiled eggs, and then you're not hungry for a while, right? Like you can sit and talk and really engage with the meaning of the Seder, and there is like less of a rush to get to the table. And so there are all kinds of different things you can do to make it, last longer, but in a good way, right? Like where it becomes a positive rather than a, oh my God, we're still here. It is harder when you have small children. And I think you've been to one of our Seders and the kids are little, it's a little rougher, but luckily that's not our problem anymore. But no, I do think like, and there are ways of engaging children too, to like make it more friendly for them during that period too. Hence the chocolate that gets thrown out at the beginning. Why is this night different? Why do we get candy at the beginning of the night? Because you're cute and you're asking a good question. So I just, I don't know. This is something I kind of want. If I leave with anything, it's like to empower you to take the Seder, right? Like it's yours. It's
your opportunity to talk about what's meaningful for you at the time. And bringing in all of these things, like you're bringing in your people that you're with every year, and that's so important. And so anyway, yes.
I just had a few things to add to it that I like about it. So when you're saying kids, seems to me it's pretty new, these bags of little plates.
Oh, yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
We can also have headbands during the day.
When I grew up,
Yes.
you know, and even the kids' songs, funny kids' songs, and I wanted to add music. Because I love the music, a lot of it's like the freedom music too. And just like on a Tu B'Shvat Seder, I really love music, and when I've been lucky to do these with my friend Bonnie Abrams, it's really great to have an actual good musician at your Seder and a guitar. And the other thing is not only the story, but always making the story relevant to the present day and relevant to your own lives. So I have one friend that always did socialist Seder. When I did the one with the oranges and the peanuts in Mexico, it was, my sister was in college there, they were all professors, you know, so it's whoever is at your table and whatever is going on in the world, it's not just an old holiday, it's always a new relevance.
It's always a new holiday,
So
right?
I love that.
Yeah, we too have musical interludes where the kids get up and sing Miriam's song with tambourines, and then they do the Pharaoh, and then occasionally contemporary parodies from songs like Frozen and things like that or whatever. Yes.
So several years ago, we bought the New American Haggadah.
Oh,
when it came out.
Jonathan Safran Foer.
Yep.
Oh, I highly recommend this. You can't use it for everyone. It's huge. It's not
right
economically feasible either.
And it's got some beautiful commentaries in it, but it also has a running thread by Lemony Snicket, and it's kind of sheer chaos, and I felt seen.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So I make my own Haggadah every year, and we have a lot of the Lemony Snicket commentary in there. It is brilliant, and it is funny, but it's also super smart and brings up a lot of things that can be enjoyed by it on multiple levels. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
What is it called?
The New American Haggadah.
It's Jonathan Safran Foer and forget else. But it's got commentary from 4 different people throughout it. It's a beautiful book and absolutely something worth adding to your collection. Yeah.
So PG Library also has a free downloadable one.
Yes. Yes.
I have kids and a lot of non-use of my Seder, so.
We're usually a half and half with ours too. But there's also a website. It used to be haggadot.com. I think it's recustom now, maybe. But you can go in and make your own Haggadah. It's free. And you can take from all kinds of different things. And people add stuff to it all the time. And that is another way of making it different every year. You know, and I highly recommend checking that out. Yes.
For some who are not as familiar doing this as am I depend on the union, Reform Union. You go on their website and they have every year different rabbis suggesting what you can discuss, and that brings people in.
Yes.
And so I depend on that, and that's a wonderful resource as well.
The internet in general has really stepped it up. You know, you can, there's that one site that I mentioned, but also you can go to Hias. Hias always has a new supplement. Various other progressive Jewish organizations usually have something that is relevant to the current day. What is it? The JCRC? I don't know. There are too many acronyms. But yeah, so you can just search 2026 Passover supplement or additional reading or something, and you will get so many things, and you can find something that speaks to you and your family and your in this moment. Jan?
Yeah, I just want to say that one piece that we haven't talked about is this concept of L'dor B'dor. In other words, it's from generation to generation. Besides the maybe imperative to do something new and more relevant each year, it's the whole idea of memory and remembering those who are no longer at the Seder. And at a certain point, I guess, in our lives, it becomes really important, that memory piece. And in our Seders for about 20, at least since 2000, because we've been using the same one, even though we jump off the page all the time. Everyone at the beginning signs their name and the date for each of the two Sedarim. And at the beginning, we go around and we reflect on the person the year before, and somebody brings up a memory of that person. So that we bring a whole bunch of people to the table who may not be there before, and it's very emotional.
That's
It really
beautiful.
is, and I just suggested it's a lovely thing to do, especially to honor those who on whose shoulders we sit.
I have one more thing, and I know, because this, I know we're out of time, but if you also wanna make people cry at your Seder, you can decide at what point you wanna do this, but during the blessing of the children, one of the things that we've started doing, and it depends on how many people are at your Seder, is having people, like the leader of the Seder blesses someone for something great about this person, and then they go around and they pick somebody and they say something. It can get to, like, last year I was like, okay, it has to be a sentence, like, because otherwise people just start bawling and it's too early for it, you know? But that's also another way of like just showing people how much you treasure them.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Just briefly, along with what Jan said, I love using my grandmother's dishes, just giving things on the table that belong to the generations before. It helps me remember them.
Of course.
It helps me remember being at their Seders and then passing those memories down to the next generation.
Yeah, and I will just say, this is like my own personal like triumph as a parent. I'm gonna boast about my kid for a second. My youngest, Ash, is an artist. They're going to art school next year. And all the AP Studio Art kids have to do a theme for all of their work during the year. So Ash picked heirlooms. And what they are finishing up right now is a Seder plate. And it is a Seder plate that has all of our weird stuff on it. Like they threw a plate. They also are making bowls that are for all the things that we have on our plate. They took our haggadah to make sure that it was right. And they are also, my mother, her everyday dishes are this Italian pottery, Campagna Vietri, with like, it's like the ones that have the little dots and then the animals in them. And they're making, that's the style they're doing it in, because it reminds them of their grandmother. And so again, like the passing on, the talking about the people, I think it's, you know, it's one of the greatest holidays. So thank you so much. I know I kind of went a little bit.
Thank you so much. This probably could have been 3 or 4 different talks about the dough and the food, and maybe we can start a program, every year to one of those. So thank you so much.
Sure.
The Hebrew school, by the way, today, Susan Rizzo did something amazing with her team. They're doing not a table around the table center. They're having different stations that they're going from one to another, which I think makes it very interesting. I don't know, it started at 10, I don't know if it's still going on, but on the way, if you want to peek in the social hall and see, it's really cool. So that's something innovative that they're doing this year, and it's great. We have a few minutes break now, and after that, there's a program called Ask the Rabbi. So if you would like to stay for that, it's an open discussion. You can bring up anything you want, and the rabbi will try to think if there's something that the rabbi has to say about that. What's that? Oh, and this program, Ask the Rabbi, is not happening in this room. Thank you for reminding me. It's actually going to happen in Conference Room A. So if you want to be in Ask the Rabbi, will be Rabbi Zohar for today. You can come meet me there at Conference Room A. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Josh, you're so